Before I call this meeting to order, I would like to note we have interpretation services for this meeting. The interpreter this evening is Alejandra Villagrana. Ms. Villagrana would you mind raising your hand? Okay. Please ask her for a listening device if you would like interpretation services. Antes de llamar a la Junta a orden, me gustaría notar que contamos con servicios de interpretación para esta Junta. Y la señora Villagrana está allí atrás. Gracias. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the City Council meeting of October 18th, 2022. Madam Clerk, could you please make an announcement about accessing the meeting and call the roll?
In order to participate in the City Council meeting virtually, please register to speak using the link on the agenda under public comment or call 1-669-900-9128 and use webinar ID code 831-2858-9362. To raise your hand to speak on a particular agenda item, please use the raise hand button in the Zoom meeting portal. If you are using a phone, please press *9 on your telephone keypad to raise your hand to speak. Press *6 to unmute your phone. When it is your time allotted to speak, your microphone will be unmuted for the time allotted by the mayor and will be muted upon completion of your comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Cordero?
Here.
Councilmember Escobedo? Councilmember Soto?
Here.
Councilmember Waterfield? And Madam Mayor Patino?
Here. First item this evening is a proclamation, and Councilmember Soto will be making the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm pleased to present this proclamation in recognition of local Chamber of Commerce Day. Whereas Chambers of Commerce foster stronger, more vibrant communities by advocating for priorities that promote economic prosperity, boost quality of life, and create access to meaningful employment and opportunity for all residents. And whereas Chambers of Commerce serve as a trusted resource for businesses, residents, and other stakeholders. And whereas the Santa Maria Valley Chamber of Commerce is committed to serving the community as a catalyst for business and economic growth, a convener of leaders and influencers, and a champion for a stronger Santa Maria Valley. And whereas the Santa Maria Valley Chamber of Commerce has been an essential leader in making Santa Maria a premier community in which to live, work, and do business for more than 100 years. And whereas the Santa Maria Valley Chamber provides programming and services to businesses and other stakeholders that maximize their opportunities to grow, provide jobs, and create the wealth necessary to support the services and quality of life in the community. Now, therefore, the Mayor, Alice Patino of the City of Santa Maria, hereby recognizes October 19th, 2022 as Support Your Local Chamber of Commerce Day in the City of Santa Maria, and encourages all residents, businesses, and those who do business in the City of Santa Maria to learn more about the Chamber of Commerce and its impact in supporting local businesses. And here to accept the recognition is Sandra Dickerson, CEO for Your People of Professionals. Paul Cook, CEO of Coast Hills Credit Union, and the Chamber Board Chair-elect, and Lori Tamora, CEO of Urban Planning Concepts Chamber Board Vice Chair.
If I may for just a moment, thank you very much, Mayor Patino, council members. Glenn is out of town today, so we as some members of the executive committee have the privilege of coming in, thanking you for the recognition today. I think you had an opportunity 2 weeks ago when I was here that Glenn came and gave a presentation on a current update, kind of a status of all of the things that the Chamber has been doing. And I have to say I'm very proud of my association with the Chamber as a board member and the current chair with the caliber of the teams that we have at the Chamber and the quality of the work that we're performing. So, and I think that presentation a couple weeks ago really kind of demonstrated that very well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you all for what you do, because people, a lot of times people don't know how active the board really is and what they do in Santa Maria, but thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you. Next, we have the public comment period. Madam Clerk, could you please read the criteria for the public comment portion of the agenda?
This time is reserved to accept comments from the public on consent agenda items, closed session items, or matters not otherwise scheduled on the printed agenda this evening. Unless otherwise directed by the mayor, speakers will have 3 minutes to comment. Direction to staff may be given, however, state law does not allow action to be taken on matters not on the printed agenda. Once the public comment period commences, no other speakers will be allowed to submit a request to speak form. Madam Mayor, we have 8 in the building, and currently no hands raised in Zoom.
Thank you. Linda Greco, followed by Kevin Cervantes, followed by Elizabeth Tovar, followed by Gary Hall. Good evening, Ms. Greco.
Hello, Mayor Patino and council members. My name is Linda Greco. The animal sheltering contract going to Santa Barbara Humane genuinely concerns me. I am the president and co-founder of the Santa Barbara County Animal Care Foundation. We're a county-wide 501c3 who was formed to work alongside the county animal services. We view issues from a county-wide perspective and focus on the area of the county that is most in need. Over the past 20 years, we've invested 90 to 95% of our annual budget to North County and are the reason the Foster Road Shelter was finally built. We have been instrumental in the positive change and dramatic reduction in euthanasia numbers spanning over this period of time. Because we keep our finger on the pulse of the county's animal statistics, we are very aware and acquainted with the disparities for the city of Santa Maria as compared to the remainder of the county. I asked for a packet of graphs to be placed at, thank you. So on graph number 1, you can see that the city of Santa Maria is 36% of the animal intake for the entire county of Santa Barbara. I would say again, that's 36% of the entire county of Santa Barbara is from the city of Santa Maria. Secondly, I would say the pink, the gray, and the yellow represent Santa Maria unincorporated, the city of Lompoc, and the city of Santa Barbara. Those added together equal 35% of the total animal intake for our county. So as you can see, city of Santa Maria is huge. If you look at graph 2, you can see that this is not an anomaly. This is something that has taken place, as far as I know, since our foundation was formed in 2002. The next graph then shows for countywide comparison of what I call the euthanasia vulnerable animals. Those are the animals that come into the shelter that are sick, that are seniors, that are injured, that are underage, that are pregnant, and that are feral. So when you turn to the next graph, you'll see the slices here contain all of those animals, which are 30% of the animal intake for the city of Santa Maria. My question would be, the county works with partners such as ourselves to provide funding to help these animals that are vulnerable so they can become from unadoptable to adoptable. Who is it that Santa Barbara Humane will use? Because our foundation has been formed to work alongside the county shelter. And so I would be curious what they have in place that will help these animals, because otherwise it will be euthanasia numbers going up high.
Thank you, Mrs. Greco. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin Cervantes, followed by Elizabeth Tovar.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Kevin Cervantes. I'm a senior from Rigetti High School. I'm with the program of Fighting Back Santa Maria Valley. and I'm here to talk to you today about the dangers of marijuana use amongst teenagers. Marijuana has been characterized over the years as a safe, less powerful drug that anybody can do without feeling judged by peers, especially teens. The rise of social media didn't help, as it only made it more accessible for the youth. Theoretically, you can have it at your doorstep in 30 minutes, which raises huge alarms, as this makes buying marijuana as easy as ever before. Schools have seen record numbers of students getting real-life records for having cannabis with them at school. With my own eyes, I can see the huge effect it's had on my classmates at Rigetti High. In 2022, you cannot walk into a high school bathroom without seeing kids smoking out of their electronic cannabis devices. Teens now don't want to pursue better things like college or even, little hobbies. Instead, they've chosen to limit their possibilities because of their addiction. I know last year for me personally, it had a huge impact on my life. I lost a lot of friends, my grades dropped. I just got stuck in this spiraling hole of emptiness like some of my classmates. Marijuana is rotting our youth, and we have to do anything to minimize this damage. Approving the social host ordinance will help make marijuana less accessible for the youth in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Tovar, followed by Gary Hall.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Tovar. I am a student at Delta High School. I am currently a senior, and it is my pleasure to meeting all of you. I'm going to be talking about my why into preventing marijuana use. Marijuana has always been a huge part of my life, from growing up, always around it, to my present self, family members affected by it. About 1 in 6 people who start using marijuana as adolescents, and up to half of people who use marijuana daily eventually become addicted to it. Unfortunately, my older brother was one of them. As if there was yesterday, reminiscing the day me and my mother seen a difference into my older brother's behavior. And him not mentally being here anymore was the worst heartbreak to hit our family. The tears that I seen falling down my mom's cheeks every day and the self-guilt she had from not willing to do anything more for him broke my heart. Knowing that I couldn't keep her from her tears sincerely changed my perspective of my whole world. As the days came flying by and every number we dialed for help, my family struggled to get the help we needed. My brother had just turned 18, and we felt the world falling on top of us. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Take your time. That's fine.
Holding on to my mom's hands was the last hope we had, and the only assurance we could have had. My brother soon, days later, started talking to himself and slowly losing himself to his thoughts. There wasn't a day that passed by where we didn't think of what went wrong. It came to a time where my brother had lost his control and began to have anger episodes and disturbing moments. Not knowing what was the cause of this, my mother had no choice but to send him to a psychiatric hospital. With the results that came back, he only tested positive to marijuana use. After 72 hours, my brother was sent back home to us with no issues. My family insisted to run more tests and for more help, but it was far too difficult with his age. We later found that the electric cannabis device that my brother was using wasn't what it was supposed to be, and it had random chemicals and other sorts of liquids. And the device that my older brother should have never gotten a hold of. To this day, I will always keep fighting for more help and more resources to prevent this from happening to anyone's beloved ones. It will always surprise me how accessible marijuana and cannabis devices will be. Please take in consideration the broken families, the lost youth, and the community we can save. Thank you so much for your time and ears. Have a good evening, everyone. Mayor Patino and esteemed council members, thank you so much.
Thank you. Gary Hall, followed by Mia Montiel, followed by Jill Anderson.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, staff. My name is Gary Hall. I am a resident of Rancho Buena Vista Mobile Estates at 2135 North Railroad Avenue here in Santa Maria. I represent the North Santa Barbara County Mobile Homeowners Team, or NSBIT. As you know, on June 7th this year, now 19 weeks ago, this council approved the following motion. Following council discussion and public input on motion, direction was given to staff to work with community members and park owners to examine enhancing the model lease agreement to see if there was room for improvement and to look at alternatives. Thank you again, Council Members Soto, Escobedo, and Cordero for passing this motion. As I announced at the latest City Council meeting, the first 2020 hybrid stakeholder meeting did occur on September 22nd. It was a good start, but there is such a long way to go. Follow-up meetings need to be scheduled. Progress on action items need to be announced. The NSBIT Mobile Home Resident Team is anxious to put our collective energy and skills to work at finding solutions. We would like to help determine why a mobile home park signed the model lease enforcement agreement and apparently never offered it to any of its residents. We would like to help determine why the owner of La Maria Mobile Home Park and 8 other parks have never bothered to participate in the model lease program. We would like to help find ways to include the parks that seem to be excluded due to language barriers. We would like to find ways for new and prospective mobile home purchasers to be ensured of timely participation in the program. We remain confident that fair, beneficial, mandatory, and enforceable mobile home rent stabilization in Santa Maria is achievable if willing and open-minded participants look for positive solutions. The challenge continues. Thank you.
Thank you. Mia Montel, followed by Jill Anderson, followed by Debbie Warren.
Good evening, Mayor Patino and esteemed council members. I am Mia Montiel. I am 13 and I go to Carmen Mackenzie in Guadalupe. We would like to thank you for taking action on reducing youth access to harmful substances like alcohol and marijuana in our city. Thank you for encouraging and holding our community members accountable to host responsible gatherings and protecting the youth in Santa Maria. Your continued support and leadership in our community on efforts such as this is appreciated and impactful. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Mia, would you like to introduce the other members of your group with you?
My name is Jacob. I am 13. I go to Carmen Mackenzie in Guadalupe.
Thank you for being here.
My name is Fidelio and I go to Fessler Junior High School. I'm in 7th grader.
My name's Alondra Castillo. I'm in 7th grade and I go to Fessler High School, Junior High School.
Thank you for being here. Jill Anderson, followed by Debbie Warren.
Thank you, Mayor Patino and council members. And just really quickly, thank you to all the young people who came here tonight to speak. Amazing, well done, and thank you for doing that. I'm Jill Anderson. I'm Jill Anderson. I'm the co-founder of Shadows Fund, a local nonprofit animal rescue organization that serves the people and pets in Santa Barbara County and in the city of Santa Maria. I'm here tonight to speak on the topic of animal services and the city's recent request for proposals. I want to urge the council to consider the following carefully and with due diligence as you look at your options. Over the past 5 years, an average of 2,600 animals are coming into the Santa Maria shelter. As Linda Greco pointed out, most of those are coming from the city of Santa Maria. This includes strays, owner surrenders, vulnerable animals that need urgent medical attention. It also includes animals beyond just dogs and cats. Chickens, horses, numerous other species account for about 400 of those animals every year. No single agency in our community has demonstrated a capacity to house that many animals or that diversity of species. The biggest outfit in town, Santa Barbara Humane, reports taking in about 1,200 animals per year, which is less than half that we are taking in the Santa Maria shelter, and that's across 2 shelters, Santa Barbara and Santa Maria. If no one is able to house that many animals, what will the city do and what will their plan be for housing that many animals? Further, county animal control officers respond to about 4,000 calls annually. To speak to the diversity of those calls and the expertise needed to respond safely and appropriately would take more time than we have here tonight. For the city to acquire all of the trucks, the equipment, the training, the staff to manage animal control enforcement is a cost that I would urge you to truly consider, and also to consider the impact on public health and safety and on the vulnerable animals and on our community if you cannot meet that need quickly and effectively. If the City of Santa Maria does not renew the contract with County Animal Services, you will be creating a disconnected and disjointed animal sheltering system. Think about this for a moment. If a city employee is trying to track down and chase and impound a stray dog, and that dog crosses into the unincorporated area, what happens? Does the city employee abandon the search? Where do residents go if they're looking for their lost pet who may have wandered across a new boundary line that will be created? This will create confusion and a decline in service. The city is already in a 5-year contract with Animal Services, so there's no need to act in haste, and certainly not right now when intakes are on a massive surge due to the post-pandemic crisis. County Animal Services has recently hired a new director, and I would urge you to invite her to present to the council and to the community of Santa Maria as to her vision for the new direction for County Animal Services. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Warren, followed by Claire Sheehy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Debbie Warren, and I am an independent animal rescuer, advocate, and animal trapper. This beautiful woman is Ruth Macy, the founder of the Santa Maria Humane Society that I worked very closely with. She asked me to be the first manager of the Humane Society on Black Road. This change with the city contract is never anything that Ruth ever envisioned, or Mickey Trapp, or Fern Williams, or Bob and Jerry Arnold. Most of these names probably mean nothing to you, but they're part of the history of the Humane Society. I became the first manager on the conditions that I would be temporary until my replacement could be found, and I did it at no pay, 7 days a week. I truly believe in saving animals. In 2014, we started a local Facebook page, Orchid Santa Maria Lost and Found Pets. We now have over 10,700 local members that we work very closely with. I am probably the most tagged person on animal pages alive. I am out there 24/7 I'm in the riverbed after dark, after animals. Donna McCoy, I had also, before that, Donna McCoy and I had joined forces. That's who my replacement was at the Humane Society. Excellent, excellent replacement. She became the first director of the Humane Society. She and I joined forces and started the first volunteer group at Animal Services, at the old Animal Services on Orchid Road. So I know how both sides work, a Humane Society and Animal Services. Other than having animals in common, it's like apples and oranges. I work very closely with the current staff, and I have for years, and we have a good working relationship with the staff, the ACOs, and the volunteers. We have worked on animals together. Let me see, I'm jumping all over the place, I know here. Anyway, in my opinion, if these 2 animal shelters, well, I already handled that. If the city changes their contract with Animal Services to the Humane Society, it will be detrimental to all concerned. Will the city benefit? No. Will the city residents benefit? No. Will the animals in the city benefit? Absolutely not. If this change happens, I, for one, will not be continuing to do my animal rescue work or trapping in the city of Santa Maria under the current directorship of the Humane Society. I ask you to please check the current director out.
Thank you, Mrs. Warren. Appreciate it. Claire Sheehy. Followed by Rosalie Marquez.
Before I start, would all county animal supporters please stand up? Good evening, City Council, and thank you for all you do to make Santa Maria a wonderful place to live. I sincerely believe that. My name is Claire Sheehy, and I have a long and devoted relationship with the Santa Maria Valley Humane Society. This dates back to Black Road, through our capital campaign to build on Stoll Road, through its construction, and then funding challenges. I've served as board director as well as multiple times as board president. Quite unfortunately, in February of 2020, Santa Barbara Humane acquired our shelter with many promises given, very few of which have been upheld. I joined Santa Barbara Humane's board as a North County representative, although found the interests of the Santa Barbara Humane was found in their financials, not in the well-being of animals or the North County shelter. Given time, I resigned. There is no North County board member now. Many of our community programs were eliminated, including the much-needed food pantry during COVID. Care for Paws and county have now picked that up. We had our RVT program through Hancock College, Running Buddies through the DA office, Vandenberg Air Force Base. We had disaster rescue, annual spay neuter with the Veterinary College, and with our Sheriff Bill Brown, a prison dog and cat program never pursued. Santa Barbara Humane is not engaged with our community. Euthanasia rates have skyrocketed, on average 15 to 20, as well outside the no-kill Humane Society model. These killings have often been related to dogs that are just too active, not based on aggression or health. Santa Barbara Humane's 2 animal behaviorists are found in Santa Barbara, none in Santa Maria. There are few, if any, collaborations to transfer animals. Euthanasia is also determined by length of stay, with very few kennels filled, on average 25, with a capacity of 100 dogs. Santa Barbara Humane is unable to maintain and hold on to their employees. We've heard about this through media. Nothing has changed. Santa Barbara Humane's lack of moral principles, accountability are beyond unacceptable, and should animal services contract with to be awarded to them, there will be not only more euthanasias, but no community education programs in Santa Maria, no community engagement. Santa Barbara Humane isn't serving as a humane society, so why will they do any better managing the operations of animal services? This will come back to the city of Santa Maria to bite you and all of us. Animal services will regress if under the control of the Humane Society. On behalf of the homeless animals, I ask that you work with county to work through this contract. Do not award it to the Santa Barbara Humane Society. Thank you for your listening. Thank you.
Claire, I want to ask you a question. What program or what was the partnership you had with the Sheriff's Department?
Through Bill Brown, before the prison opened, we developed a program for the inmates to bring in dogs and cats to work with them for socialization. This cuts down on euthanasia rates as well as dog handling, so they are far more adoptable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Rosalie Marquez. Good evening, Ms. Marquez.
Good evening, Mayor Patino and City Council members. In behalf of the Filipino community, I just want to announce that this is Filipino American History Month in October. And the reason why it's in October is because the first Filipino stepped foot in this continent in Mora Bay on October 18, 1587. This was led by the Spanish galleon ship with Nuestras de Señora de Esperanza with Captain de Unamuno. He had 8 Filipino crew members, and the landing party was the Filipinos that landed there in the first time in 1587. Because of this, State of California passed legislation in 2009 designating October as Filipino American History Month. Following year, congressionally, it was recognized and passed that October is Filipino American History Month. We are celebrating Filipino American History Month, but in Morro Bay, this coming Saturday, we have a rededication of our monument. We have a monument there at Coleman Park that's been relocated to mirror the big rock. The city of Morro Bay have also had allowed us and purchased a kiosk by 2436 to explain what this monument is all about. We have our chapter is number 10 in the nation. There's 42 chapters from New York to Hawaii to Alaska. We have our executive director and co-founder of the Filipino American National Historical Society that are going to be present from Seattle. We have chapter members from San Diego, Stockton, Oregon, and so to be present. I gave each one of you the program, what was going to take place that day. And today, I had only scheduled like one organization that is going to be performing. Now I have 4 or 5 others that are going to be performing different Filipino folk dances. And we have an artist with a contemporary art performance from Los Angeles that performs professionally. Our kiosk was designed by one of our members who is a retired professor and a graphic designer and did the artwork. And so I just want to invite everyone. It's October 22nd, Saturday, from 11 to 3. We'll be serving Filipino food. And so we hope to see you there, and thank you very much for this evening.
Thank you so much. That concludes the public comment portion of this agenda. Before we move on, Mr. Stillwell, did you have any comments?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. A few comments. So the initial comments for the social host ordinance, that is on tonight's consent agenda, and that was related to the social host and the marijuana use issue. Gary Hall talking about mobile home rent stabilization. The City Council has created an ad hoc committee that has been meeting on that, and meetings are continuing. And then the animal issue is not on tonight's agenda, and I can ask Assistant City Manager Andrew Hackelman to describe where we are in that process.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. So we have experienced over the last several years sharply rising costs for animal services. It's the most expensive contract that the city has, and we anticipate future growth in the coming years, and our general plan update contemplates that. And so we're looking at a lot of things citywide. As a result, the council directed staff to explore alternatives. And so staff worked together to draft a request for proposals. That request for proposals was sent out, and the current status of this right now is that staff is analyzing the response, and what we will do with that analysis is compare and contrast with the existing agreement with the county and compare that to what we have received. And then our next steps from there will be to have internal discussions, and then ultimately this matter will be brought before the council to look at all of the factors that are involved.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's it? Okay. Moving on to the consent calendar, Madam Clerk, could you please read item number 3?
Routine items are presented for City Council approval without discussion as a single agenda item in order to expedite the meeting. The consent calendar is approved by roll call vote with one motion. These items are discussed only on the request of council members.
Okay, anyone have items they wish to pull for discussion?
Madam Mayor, I would like to pull item 3I.
3I. And I'm going to pull 3D. Anything else? Okay.
Want me to read the titles?
Yes, read it on 3I first so I can pull up my 3D.
3I is adopt a resolution approving a donation of forensic digital camera system to the Santa Maria Police Department from the Santa Maria Police Council.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This item came to the Santa Maria Police Department through the Santa Maria Police Council, through our many, many fundraisers. And this is such a strategic digital camera. It was a cost of just about $46,000. And I would like our Chief Snyder to describe exactly what this camera does to help with the police department, with their forensic, and how it's going to solve a whole lot of issues with crime.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Yes, this piece of equipment is something that our lab does not have anything even close to this type of technology. So it's very cutting edge, and it will actually be one of the devices that they're going to rely upon, and it'll be very efficient. Some of the things that it can accomplish, it's a compact camera, but it's able to locate bodily fluids, blood, fingerprints, gunshot residue, and trace evidence. And that's obviously very unique, because oftentimes that has to be discovered by the technician, and then to have a camera device that can actually photograph that is significant. And in addition, it also has the ability to photograph evidence in UV, visible, and infrared spectrums without the use of additional forensic light sources. And that can take a lot of time when they're playing with different light sources and trying to get the right photography to collect and that type of evidence. And it also does this stuff through automatic filters that optimize the visualization between different illumination wavebands. So there's lots of other little nuances to the camera that the lab will use on a daily basis, and they were very, very excited to be able to get something like this. So they can't wait to have it in hand and get trained on it and put it to practice. And it's very user-friendly. It downloads everything onto some digital screens, and it's, like I said, very easy to manipulate and use. So we really appreciate the Santa Maria Police Council for allowing us to gather the funds and raise for pieces of equipment such as this. So.
Thank you. And I also want to thank our donors out there that donate large sums of money to make sure that our police department is well equipped, not only for the protection of each officer, but to make sure that they're able to solve crimes and can do things in a shorter way of doing their work. And so this is a great big thank you to all the donors throughout the Santa Maria Valley.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. 3D, please.
Item 3D is to adopt a resolution approving dark fiber service orders with Astound Business Solutions for the installation of fiber optic connections from Veterans Memorial Community Center, Grogan Community Center, and Fire Station Number 3 to the city's fiber ring using Community Development Block Grant CV funds.
Well, you read it all, so I just wanted to comment on that, because we have the fiber going down Betaravia, going north on Miller, going west on Main, and up Blosser. And so now we're installing the fiber optic connections at the Veterans Memorial Community Center, Grogan Community Center, and Fire Station 3. And so the city of Santa Maria has been doing our fiber optic installation incrementally as the money is there, and in a very efficient way and effective way. So I guess during COVID, we realized that a lot of our kids could not study from home. And I was assuming we had hotspots throughout the city so we could bring them into community centers, and we did not. But this is all part of getting up there. But we're ahead of other cities in the whole county. So, but I'm on the task force for the fiber optic and for broadband in the county. This county of Santa Barbara is moving so far ahead of other counties in the state and trying to get this accomplished. And I think what's interesting, it's probably the only task force I've ever been on where everybody agrees and everyone wants to move forward. And so that makes it very expeditious and very, very positive. So I just want to let everyone in Santa Maria know that we're getting there. So thank you.
Great. Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Escobedo.
So I just actually have a question in regards to the, so first, from the northwest portion of my district, thank you. I think it's important to allow our constituents to have access to the information, and especially fiber optic, and I'm excited about this a lot, and it's way overdue. So I'm really happy to see this happening. And question that would be for a city manager. So that the internet. So if somebody goes to Grogan Park, once this is all set up, they're going to be able to connect to the internet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I can have Jeff Marisik, our Chief Information Officer, explain how it works.
Yes, I sit on the policy committee as an elected, but Mr. Marisik sits there to tell me what's really going on, so there he is.
Madam Mayor, council members, yeah, this project is one of a multi-phase project that we've been working on for a number of years, and we will continue to work on it for the foreseeable future. This I'm very excited about because, as the mayor mentioned, we have the ability to connect to the internet in this part of town, and we don't really have that much ability in the northern part of town. So this will be step number one to get fiber into those 3 new locations, and then there will be a follow-on project then that I'll bring back here then to provide the wireless capability. And the idea there is when people are in our parks and in the community centers, they'll be able to connect wirelessly using their laptops or their tablets or their cell phones to connect and have access to the internet. They'll be able to do homework, do research, shop, and learn other things on the internet. So we're really excited about this. And again, you'll see throughout the next year or two, you'll see several other projects just like this as we expand our network throughout the city.
Awesome. Excited.
Yes, Ms. Soto.
A follow-up question based on what you just shared. Will that mean that these community centers will be open for communities so that they can be indoors and access Wi-Fi connectivity?
Yeah, I think one step will be to determine the availability of the community centers, but as they're opened now, if they're playing basketball or whatever they might be in some of the community centers, they'll be able to access the internet. And we're actually helping to prepare for perhaps the next pandemic, next time
There won't be one.
Well, let's hope not. So that we can provide access to community members that just don't typically have access to the internet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marisik. So do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
I'll second.
And I have a second. So any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Councilmember Waterfield.
Aye.
Councilmember Escobedo.
Aye.
Councilmember Soto.
Aye.
Councilmember Cordero.
Aye.
Madam Mayor Patino.
Aye. Next, we have a regular business item. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title?
Yay, thank you, kids. We really appreciate you taking over your community. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for being here.
The City Council will review and prioritize the capital project proposals for fiscal year 2023-24 Community Development Block Grant funding and provide the Block Grants Advisory Committee and the participating applicants direction for projects that should be given priority for the upcoming funding cycle.
Okay, staff report is to be made by Community Programs Manager, Ms. Rojo.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. We come before you tonight asking that you review and prioritize the capital project proposals for 23-24 Community Development Block Grant funding and provide the Block Grants Advisory Committee and the participating applicants with direction as to the projects that you feel should be given priority for the upcoming funding cycle. So a brief history, this is the 7th consecutive year that the City Council participates in the capital project proposal review process. Now, this process provides the City Council the ability to prioritize potential projects, and the Block Grants Advisory Committee uses the City Council's directives from this meeting as one of several factors in its recommendations. A quick overview of the proposals for this upcoming funding cycle. Staff received 7 proposals totaling more than $1.6 million, but staff only anticipates receiving a little less than $1 million for capital funding. I will add that the deadline to submit proposals for 23-24 CDBG capital funding was Wednesday, September 21st. Now, one of those 7 proposals is asking for the $15,000 set aside for our tenant-based rental assistance administrative costs. And I will go into those 7 proposals. Here you can see the 7 proposals, and I'll go over each one individually so you know what the goal is of each potential project. So the first one is our tenant-based rental assistance program. The goal of that funding is set aside annually to cover the administrative costs associated with the management of the city's TBRA program. The city's tenant-based rental assistance program provides up to $2,500 in rental deposits for people who need it, who are low income and need the deposit to move into a place in the Santa Maria area. The next application is by Family Service Agency, Santa Maria Valley Youth and Family Center Stairwell Safety. The goal there is to secure an external stairwell and prevent chronic misuse and loitering. And by securing the stairwell, Family Service Agency staff, clients, and visitors will be able to use it without any health and safety concerns. The next proposal we received is from Comunify, their minor home repair program, and their minor home repair program provides improved exterior lighting for security, extended exterior rails, handicap toilet installations, exterior ramps, and installation of slip and fall prevention measures. And the assistance is provided to disabled adults and seniors ages 62 and over. Then we also have another minor home repair program proposal. This one's from Community Action Partnership of SLO County. And they provide essential larger home repair services to low to moderate income households. So those two are slightly different in the type of assistance that they provide and who they provide it to. VTC Enterprises Accessibility Improvements Project, the goal there is to increase the safety, access, comfort, and service experience for persons served at VTC. Funding will improve walkways, ramps, and patio areas for clients and staff. Good Samaritan Shelter submitted a proposal for family shelter rehabilitation. The goal there is to install new retrofit windows for energy efficiency, replace all flooring throughout the facility, paint entire inside of the building, upgrade laundry room, and rehabilitate the restrooms to include new toilets, sinks, panels, and flooring. And People Self-Help Housing Corporation, they're looking to use the money to assist in their rehabilitation and any ADA improvements to Los Adobes de Maria 1. The funding will assist with the rehabilitation of the 65 units that serve low-income households. ADA improvements will also take place in a dozen of those units to accommodate aging residents. A summary of the proposals with staff's notes are included in Attachment A, as well as the individual proposals, which are Attachment B. So the next step, that the City Council reviews and collectively prioritizes the proposed projects and provides staff with the Council's top 3 projects. Tonight's feedback will provide the Block Grants Advisory Committee and potential applicants with direction as to the projects that should receive priority for the upcoming funding cycle. Results from tonight's ranking does not mean that the agencies which are not in the top 3 cannot continue to apply for funding. It just provides these agencies with a bit more information as they move forward. Tonight's information provided by the City Council will be one of the various tools used by the Block Grants Advisory Committee to make its determination for 23-24 funding. And the Block Grants Advisory Committee will review all applications which will be submitted in December, conduct site visits, and deliberate. The committee's recommendations will be presented to the City Council for final approval in April of 2023. And this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions of Ms. Rojo?
I have one question.
Waterfield?
On the Community Action Partnerships of SLO, is that the low to moderate income household? Is there a senior portion in that as well for senior households as well?
No, it's just based on income.
Just income, okay,
Yeah.
no age or anything like that?
No.
Okay, all right.
Did I have anyone?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Escobedo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Rossi, I've seen that, I sit on the board, I represent District in the Human Services Commission with the county. And one of the things that we try to bring is, and it's pretty challenging, and this is because there's not always enough money for all the projects, so which is unfortunate. It would be great. But one of the things we've seen more is how we can make a bigger impact, or what project can provide a bigger and better service in the community. And I see that the people self-help housing provide an amount of units that they can provide services to with this money. But I don't see a lot of on the others, other projects. So is that part of the application? Is there any part where we can see how big of an impact, how many families will be served, how many individuals? Do we have that? I haven't seen it, so, or maybe I missed it.
Yeah.
Councilmember Escobedo, in the proposals, you'll see the unit of service, the number of people they expect to serve. That's a tricky one, just because sometimes the unit of service, it's apples and oranges. One service might cost more than another agency's service or the people served, and so it's that we take that into consideration, though. So for example, housing is always going to be more expensive than providing somebody with minor rehab, just because minor rehab costs a lot less than actual providing somebody with housing. So yeah, that's a tough one that we all, because you look at, you want to just look at the numbers and say, okay, well, who's going to benefit the most? How many people are going to be served here? But it's, we have to take into consideration a number of other factors.
Definitely. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. So are we going to take the 993,000 and then figure out what we want to subtract from that? Is that what you want us to do? And to prioritize?
Ideally, we were hoping to see just if there were three projects that stuck out to you collectively as the top three that you thought would be ones that you would like to see funded in some way, shape, or form. Most of these projects do have a note here that they can phase the projects, or they are willing to adjust the scope of work to accommodate the funding. So for example, just because they're asking for 200,000 doesn't mean that they need the full 200,000. They could adjust it and make accommodations. They could change the scope of work. They could come back and phase the project. So there's a number, most of them understand. They're asking for what they need, but they're willing to compromise when it comes to knowing that there's never enough money to go around.
Ms. Waterfield?
Yes, when you talk about prioritizing, I would really like to prioritize the Good Samaritan Shelter, because they have a revolving door that's going to continue to try to help to rehab people and families and kids, and that line is never going to go away. It's always going to be there, and they've done a great job. Sylvia Bernard has just applied the money very effectively, and she knows where every nickel's gone. And I really trust her, and I trust the way that she's been moving these programs along very well. And she's done a great job with a lot of the people that have come through there that have been rehabilitated. And I just would like to keep her a priority for the Good Samaritan shelters in regards to that.
Okay, so you want three, but if, like, for instance, like Communify and Capslow, these are programs and repairs that'll keep people in their homes, so they don't have to go anyplace else. To me, I think that is a must, especially for our seniors. But that doesn't really amount to too much. Then I see VTC Enterprises, and I know what a wonderful job they do with people with disabilities in our community. And, but if we wanted to phase that in or do part of it on there, or Good Samaritan do part of it, and of course, people self-help housing, that's going to be a bigger chunk, but probably, I mean, we all know that all of these these organizations do such a great job, and they are so needed and valued in our community. But that would be my suggestion. So that's not, I'm not giving you 3, I'm giving you 3 plus 2.
And I would,
Ms. Soto?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I would say, just based on previous conversations that the city council has had regarding high cost of housing, and I know that in the past it's been discussed as a council here on the dais, that we would be interested in expanding the rental assistance program. I would say that that would also be a priority, the tenant-based rental assistance program. And I agree with Councilmember Waterfield about the Good Sam shelter.
Yeah, thank you.
My other priority would be FSA.
What was that?
Oh.
What was your other one?
Family services.
FSA Family Service Agency. And then, I mean, people self-help housing, I mean, their impact is incredible. And so I would also, I know that's not 3, but.
Mr. Cordero, did you want it?
I
No.
think they've spent all the money.
They're women.
And then some. I would agree with everything that's said, but with regard to what Ms. Waterfield said, they do a great, great job over there at Good Sam, and it's not new. They didn't just start doing that. They've been doing it over there for years. And for those of you who don't know, Sylvia's been there a long time, and she's going to start thinking before all that long from now that she wants to get out. And we should all know that she's training her daughter to take over, and she's kind of has the same attitude and the same efficiency level. So I'm always in favor of helping Sylvia and her efforts.
Mr. Escobedo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, definitely. Can we say all of them will be the priority?
You can say anything you want. There's only so much money.
No, I mean, definitely housing, it's a priority, of course. Anything that, as was mentioned by Mayor Patino, everything that can help people stay on the roof, that's very important. And something I had experience with is with the Family Services Agency. I would like to share that I did a tour, and I know the area, and it's not a very, it has a lot of challenges in terms of safety. So I would like to also put that up there, because they do deal with a hard environment surrounding the neighborhood. So I think it's providing some way to assist that, just help secure that stairwell would be one of the priorities as well for me.
You know, when we talk about, like in Communify and Capslo, and we talk about doing like ramps or putting a toilet in, or all these small things that people need in order to live in their homes, especially as they age, this is really important. When you come across some of these things that maybe can't be done, and maybe railings or something, can you let Carl Nielsen know? Because a lot in Serve Santa Maria, we also do some of that. You know, I don't know if we have any guys that can install a toilet, but I mean, all these things that Capslo does in Communify that we do to keep people in their homes. And I think we all agree here that housing is so important, and the rental assistance is very important to families, and we know that. So you've heard us, all, you know, we maybe our priorities are a little different, but we all agree on it, so.
It sounds like they're all priorities.
Yes, they're all priorities.
The committee's wonderful. They have a lot of work ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do you have any requests to speak or written correspondence?
No written communications and 1 request to speak.
Okay, thank you. Jason T. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Jason T. with VTC Enterprises. Thank you everyone for your time tonight. I feel a little remiss asking for being the only person on the Community Development Block Grant application that came tonight to ask. Those are all really strong organizations with a lot of strong requests. So I don't envy your position. I don't envy your position in terms of trying to come with a decision here. I would just encourage the committee to consider funding for services of people with disabilities. I think VTC Enterprises, we're a fiscally conservative organization, and we only ask for assistance when we truly need them at this point. And at this point, our sidewalks and ramps and accessibility spaces don't meet the needs of the individuals we serve at this point. We're experiencing this post-COVID environment where now we have people coming and going throughout the day, whereas previously it was much more scheduled. People would come at 8, 9 o'clock and leave at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Now we have people like the rest of us are doing. We're coming in for part days, 3 days a week, so a lot more traffic back and forth. It's not to say the sidewalks and everything aren't in code, but we can see pretty clearly that with this much movement of people coming back and forth, that the access to those buildings isn't really what it needs to be at this point. So again, I would just encourage and hope the committee will consider services for people with disabilities when they're considering the application. So thanks.
Thank you very much. Oh, Mr. Cordero?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't see how we can discuss anything in this chambers of CDBG and not mention Rosie when she's in the audience, and we thank you very much. You do a great job, and you've been with them longer than I've been on the council, so it's amazing what you do.
So anyway, I brought this, we talked about it, discussed it, and so do you have enough direction from us?
I think so. I'm going to go back to the committee and just let them know that they're all priorities.
Okay, that's great, that's great. Okay, next item will be a report by the city manager, Mr. Stillwell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next meeting of the city council is November 1st. It's relatively light agenda with a update of the building and fire code amendments. We'll update those to keep our building and fire codes current with the state law. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Start, Ms. Soto?
No reports.
Ms. Waterfield?
I do. I have a couple of things I want to just mention. The facilities department and what they did with the city manager's new offices is nothing short of remarkable. It is just wonderful. And I think that we have another enterprise that we can kind of push out from the city, that we can do remodeling and do all of these great things. But no, the city, the facilities has done an excellent job, and it's just really gorgeous. And if you haven't had a chance to see them, I would just tell everyone to go over there because it's just beautiful. Also, this Saturday, I had an opportunity to go to the Airfest, the Central Coast Airfest. Chris Kunkel did a magnificent job in regards to putting things together with his team. I was also able to attend his grandfather's 100th birthday celebration. This man walks by himself. He doesn't need any crutches. He doesn't need a walker. He goes up and down stairs as smoothly as anybody else does. His hearing is impeccable, and to know that he fought in World War II in the jet fighting planes was just remarkable. But he's got third generation. His is a first. His son, Jim Kunkel, who owned Central Coast Jet Center, marvelous man. He passed away this year, and it just breaks my heart to see someone like this who have just given so much to this community. Then his son, Chris, has taken over, and he's just following in his grandfather's and father's footsteps, and he's just doing a great job out there. Our airport is amazing. It really is. I had an opportunity speak at length with Teresa that owns Art Signcraft there. And the people that come from around the United States of America and outside this country for her to paint planes is amazing. She told me her payroll was well over $1 million. She does an incredible job. And this is my shout out to the Chamber of Commerce that does economic development. Teresa knows a lot of people in the industry that we can pull over to the Santa Maria Airport. She had one gentleman there that came in. He lives in Montecito, but his business is at the airport in Bob Hope Airport, Van Nuys. He employs 40,000 employees. She knows him very well, and I said, why isn't he here? You know, why don't we have somebody like that to where we can go ahead and start, you know, gleaning from somebody like her that has done a tremendous job at that Santa Maria Airport. She's an incredible woman, 6th grade education, very smart lady, and she's such a hard worker. So, you know, I give my kudos to Teresa, and I hope the airport realizes what they have out there with a Jewel, and they really need to talk to her thoroughly about other vendors coming in. That's it.
Mr. Escobedo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to report that I attend, and I have a lot of fun at the code enforcement celebration at the Presco Park. I saved Santa Maria that day, turning it off a fire. It was fake fire, but we'll put it up there. It was really informative, and it was a great activity, and a lot of kids participating. So the staff did a great job. So thank you for putting that together. On October 6th, I was guest speaker for the 2022 Surge Jobs graduation ceremony, which is community members that obtained their GED. So it was an honor, and congratulations and felicidades a todos los que nos están viendo. And this Saturday, the 15th, I attend the Santa Barbara County Veterans Stand Down. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cordero.
Yes. I didn't do the Ben Hayes show this last 2 weeks ago because he wasn't in the office. I've never had him do that before. I thought, I don't know what to do.
You got stood up.
So that didn't take place, but I will do it tomorrow. On the 5th, I attended one session or one facility at the Code Enforcement Appreciation over at ComDev, and it was well attended, and there's a little something for us to learn at every time we do one of those things. On the 13th, I was in attendance at the Central Coast Truck Center on Stowe Road, and you remember, Mayor, when we went there, it was just a field.
I remember.
And they're doing a great job. There was one slight disappointment. The chamber put it on. They were celebrating the cancer awareness, this kind of thing. And this woman drove up in an all pink truck. This was not a pickup truck. This was a truck. And she drove up, and I thought, how cool is that? This woman drives up in this pink truck, and it's got these pink ribbons on it. And I thought, she's going to get out of that truck and have all pink clothes. And she got out a pair of Levi's. And it was amazing. And she got in that truck and backed it up like she'd been working a truck for years and years. Very impressive group of people. And I met a couple of people out there that I shared with, Mr. Stillwell. It was also very well attended. They titled it "Real Men Wear Pink," and it was very nice. On the 15th, I went to the stand down. That was a busy day that Saturday. I went to the stand down. There was also a lot of people there. A lot of people getting things that they really need. I went from the stand down out to the air show, and everything Ms. Warfield said is, I recognized. If any of us receive any complaints about noise, don't even bother investigating it. It's valid. The noise was out there. The people were just packed out there. And, I think my law enforcement career tends to give me a little pessimistic view sometimes when you get large crowds about something's going to happen. And there had alcohol out there, and I thought something's going to take place. And not one single event that I saw did anybody get upset, or there was no law enforcement called, and it was just a great event all 3 nights. I was there for the dinner, before then for both shows, and it was just phenomenal. Ms. Waterfield mentions Chris. Well, Chris has a sister named Heather.
Yes.
And she was there also. And I know Heather. I don't know Chris as well as I know Heather. And they did a great job. And there was a couple of retired city employees out there that were really talking about how great this air show was compared to other air shows that they'd been. And for people that haven't been out there before, the air show used to be on the other side of the runway, and for years it's been over there. And this year they moved it over close to the hotels, and I think that was a help. And they had some really neat shows, some comedy stuff going on there. The jet airplanes were just incredible.
What would you estimate the attendance was on Saturday?
Thousands.
Yeah,
Well,
it
Just
was-
in the
yeah.
thousands.
Oh, yeah, there was- I know
I text Heather about it, and I said, I don't know who's responsible for this, but somebody deserves a big slap on the back of congratulations and thank you. And I asked her about that, and she didn't give me a number. She just said that they're right. This was Saturday. She said that they're right where they anticipated being. The food was great. The booths were all great. Santa Barbara PD and the Sheriff's Department were there poaching, giving out flyers to join their departments.
Santa Maria PD was there
And
also.
Santa Maria PD was
Yes.
there also, yes. I'm going to see if there's something more we can do to maybe get our police department a little bit more involved, and I'll talk to the chief about that for next year to do something a little
They
bit
could
more.
probably jump out of a plane or something.
From the air show on Saturday night, I went home and then attended the black and white ball at the Elks Lodge. And as you know, for years, all that money goes to support the Boys and Girls Club. And that was also very well attended over at I think everybody's just really excited that the pandemic we're at the other end of it, and that they can finally go out and do something. And another great event that was handled by the Elks, and I didn't see one single person there that was a problem or anything like that. It was very, very well handled. And that's it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Madam Mayor, I
Yes.
just want to say something about Mr. Kunkel Sr. and what he flew exactly. My favorite person told me this is what he flew, and he flew the P-38 Lightning in World War II. And so I just wanted to get
I
that.
remember they said
correct.
P-38,
Yeah,
right,
I just
yeah.
wanted to get that down. And man, he could still get in that airplane and fly it too. He is just remarkable.
So October 4th, I did the Ben Hayes Show, did the opening day of Minerva Club. On the 5th, I was a guest speaker at Rigetti High School in one of the ag classes. On the 7th, I attended the mayor and city managers meeting and did a tour with a group from the county of Santa Barbara at the CTE Center, the Mark Richardson Center, near the rodeo grounds. On the 10th, I had the SBK broadband task force that I'm on. On the 12th, I was the guest speaker at Hancock College for the Hispanic Heritage Celebration, and a lot of good music and a lot of good food. Very, very typical of our heritage. On the 13th of October, I had my mayor's teen council, and I had met at Santa Maria High School, and I had about 25 kids, and at Pioneer, I had about 30. And so we are planning our whole year and whatever projects they want to do this year. On the 15th, I attended the Veterans Stand Down, and after that, I went out to the Air Fest, and then that night I went back for the dinner to celebrate Jim Kunkel's 100th birthday. And the man, like Ms. Waterfield said, the man is just amazing. On Sunday morning, I went out to Presker Park because Los Viejitos Car Club had their car show, and there was an 805 car club, and there was another car club, but it's getting bigger. And so what they do is they supply all the food, and then all they do is they invite people to bring Christmas gifts for kids, and that is their ticket to get lunch. And that was great. So
You know the funny part of the Kunkel, and I keep on going back to the Kunkel part of it, because they sat him down and they asked him questions to talk about his past, and he goes, well, when I was 77, and everybody started laughing because he could remember details. I mean, it was
I
just
know.
amazing. It was just really
And
great to see a
I
man
don't
like
have a
that.
gavel to close this meeting, so I will close this meeting tonight. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.